Welcome to today's episode on Across the Opti-Verse. Today, we're going to step into something a little bit different for Opti-Num and for the topic of our podcast. We're going to be interviewing, I'll be interviewing two of my female colleagues. And all of this, Zimasa, Eunice, is in celebration of South Africa's Women's Day that happened on the 9th of August. But in fact, we actually celebrate the entire month in praise of women in the world, in our lives. And so the goal for today is to have a wonderful conversation with my colleagues and extract some really uplifting, positive stories about our female experiences in the world, but also those of other females, other women that we've interacted with. So let's get going. I said something earlier before we started the podcast that you guys mentioned was really powerful. So I'm going to say it now for the episode. As I was trying to collect some panelists for our episode today, I came across something quite strange. And if I think back on my life, I am guilty of this too. And I think I've actually seen it on a recurring basis. When you ask women what their opinion is or what they think of something, or can they please step onto the stage and share something? The typical answer I've received from women is, goodness, no. Me? Really? Why me? And if you dive into that a little bit deeper, some of the conversation goes into what a lot of women think on the sort of offset is that their opinion is not valuable enough, that they don't have anything to say, or if they had something to say, is it important enough? Are people going to want to listen to that? Do they care? This is very sad for me because as you keep talking to those women, they start telling you the story that you actually asked for in the beginning, and you're struck by how amazing the storyline is, how amazing it is what they've experienced, what they've might have received, or what they might have given. And so today's episode is a platform for us to take that moment this month and share our stories. I, of course, have some stories myself, but the spotlight is on our colleagues, Eunice, who works in the consulting team at Opti-Num. So she has a technical background, and I'll let you say something about that. And Zimasa, who is our head of HR at Opti-Num. One of my stories has something to do with you because you came in like a whirlwind and felt like you saved my life. So, but yeah, I'm going to start. Eunice, would you like to go? You can maybe do a little intro of yourself.
Yeah. I feel like all of our colleagues. I'm not quite sure what to say. So yes, my background's a technical background. I'm a mechatronic engineer background, or by what I've studied in Stellenbosch, and now I'm on the smart mining manufacturing focus area or team in the consulting team. And yeah, I think I've been with Opti-Num 5 years this year. So,
oh, that's fantastic.
That's really cool.
Yes.
Yeah, and I think it's a really great work environment to be in. We're talking about women, and I think we have a really cool team of women, specifically at Opti-Num, that support each other and can help each other grow. So excited to be here.
Thank you.
I resonate with my colleagues. You know, probably don't have anything that great to say, but people want to hear. I want to hear what they want to say. So who says they don't want
to hear? Zimasa, a little background on you.
Thank you, Adri, and I'm happy to be here. So I am the head of HR at Opti-Num Solutions. I've got industrial psychology background. Been with Opti-Num for 4 going to 5 years. So
Oh,
Eunice, we
soon,
almost
soon.
Yeah.
feels like yesterday when I joined. But yeah,
Yeah.
I think I'm very invested in this topic. And I was the first one to
Yes.
raise my hand because I just feel like it's something new that we haven't given focus on in terms of making it verbal and be intentional about. And I think it's something that's really, really been necessary for Opti-Num for a long time. And I'm glad we're here, which is why I think I have stories to tell, whether they're relevant or not. I'm sure they'll touch somebody's life in one
Yeah,
way or the other. So,
that's
yeah.
fantastic. Would you like to kick us off on one of those stories?
Well, of course, I have HR background, and I'm going to start focusing on just like industry, not just engineering, but just corporate South Africa. We come from different backgrounds. We're very diverse, and we meet adversity. So from high school, you remove from people that are like you. So you get to university in this big lecture hall, and there is one tiny person there, and there's like hundreds of you sitting. Whether you understand their English or whether you understand how they pronounce what they're saying, it's entirely up to you.
Taking me back, Zimasa.
And it's a wake up call for,
Yeah.
I'll speak about myself, for a Black rural girl that has only ever been taught English by a Black person. So cannot hear the pronunciation, cannot understand what the lecturer is saying. And you get here, now you have to understand, or you have to read your books. It's a survival of the fittest. People raise their hands and they twang and they speak this beautiful English, and you stop listening to what they're saying and you start just like looking at them thinking, wow, you know? And it has various implications, because it means now I have to rely on my books. Am I confident enough to go and consult with the lecturer when I get to, when it's consulting time, to say, I didn't understand this? And am I going to sit? Am I stupid? Does that make me stupid? So it's a whole lot of things that go on. And it's really like, wow, this is the real world type of thing. They give you an assignment, you don't have a laptop, you've never even touched a computer before. You have to go to the computer lab. How do you press start if you've never had any computer training? And these are things that start from there. And as you grow in varsity and you get friends and they teach you what to do and they show you how things work and everything, you get comfortable. And because you were never stupid to begin with, you now understand and you go on. But guess what? Right when you graduate, you get into corporate. And guess what happens in corporate? You're right at the bottom.
Yeah.
Again, you're meeting different people. Yes, you've all been through university. You've survived however you've survived. But now you're in corporate and it's a whole new world again.
A new Game of Thrones.
Yes.
Yeah.
People expect different things from you. People expect you to speak in a certain way. People expect you to show up in a different way. And my question is always, is somebody asking themselves, who is this person? Where do they come from? And how can I support them to be the best version of themselves? And to me, that connects to leadership. So we need leaders that are going to be very empathetic and have Ubuntu. Ubuntu means I am who I am from wherever I am, but I'm going to put myself down there and walk this journey with this person and see how great they can be and show them how great they can be. So yeah, that's the life cycle.
I'd like to tap into that because a couple of years ago, let's say 4, at Opti-Num, I've been working for Opti-Num for 7 years, and I've gone through quite a journey. I started in a totally different role, transitioned into something else. Sort of at some points in time, I was this sort of wide-eyed, quite naive person, didn't really understand what I got myself into when I transitioned roles, and had to very quickly, I was not stupid, but had to very quickly, survival of the fittest, pick certain things up in the job that I was doing. And the industry that I was working in was huge. The sort of physical span of all these different accounts and places and territories that I had to look after was massive. I certainly had help along the way. There's something to be said about having, what do we call them, sort of advocates for women in the workplace. Typically, those will be male. And I certainly had one of those. He's the CEO of the company. He worked so hard. And just like you said, he didn't matter who he was, where he came from, what he knew, how skilled he was, how experienced he was. He put himself next to me in my shoes with me, and he walked a journey with me. And I wouldn't be where I was today. I wouldn't know what I know today if I didn't have someone who looked at me as a human being who had the right amount of brain cells to do the job that he really needed someone to do in the company. But also beyond that, sort of, you have to trust someone to be able to do the job. So you can walk that journey with them, which is, but like even better leadership is saying, go for it. And like letting go, coming back and checking on this person and saying, oh, wow, you're doing a great job. Thank you. Yeah, you see, I knew you could do it. But like, keep going over there. And that for me was really amazing. But the other person who also did that for me was you. Because regardless of what job you're in or what place you are in your personal life, there's always that next step that you're going to have to take. There's this lesson that life has probably been throwing at you to learn, and you either haven't been in a place to see it, or you've been avoiding it, you know it's there, or you can't quite put your finger on it, you don't quite understand what's going on. But there's this block, there's this roadblock, or there's this wall, or there's something. And it's the lesson you need to learn. It's the move you need to make. It's the step up that needs to happen. And every time I've come across a roadblock in my life, I've never been able to address it alone. I've had to have someone with me there. And when I look back on those roadblocks, it's my sister, it's my mother, it's my grandmother, it's my best friend. And you were one of them too, Zimasa. You were there 4 years ago. I came to you. There were tears. There was this roadblock of, I don't understand how to deal with the conflict that's in front of me. What does it mean? And can I just run away? And you've said to me over the years multiple times, you need to do what's right for you, Adri. But if you stay here, you have me, you have these other people. But in having you, Zimasa, I was able to address that life lesson that I needed to learn. I didn't have to run away. And I grew so much. I hope I did. I mean, you must look at me. And and I grew so much. And I honestly couldn't have done that without someone like you, the way that you think about life and the way that you see people. Just like you said, you've got to see someone as a human being. So I think that, yeah, for me, it obviously was life-changing, and I'm still here and feel like a different person. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. But let's not hijack this, Eunice. I know you were telling me you had some stories to tell us, so we'd love to hear some from you.
Listening to you two speak, my stories change as they do when you're in a conversation.
Yeah.
It's good to reflect. So I think actually two parts. There's two parts to it. I think the one you've spoken so nicely about people coming alongside you. I've had some incredible friends in varsity and now as well in my personal life, and then also my sister and my mom, as you shared. And then there's the other side of, I want to say, like idols, people that show you that, you know, it is possible. Like what you've always thought is impossible or felt inadequate to do. These women and people, but specifically women, doing it. So I think having that inspiration. And yes, they are still just people. Sometimes it's good to be a bit removed and have like a bit of this halo around them and be like, but actually, you know, they're doing incredible things. So one person like that is Annie Backer, Prof. Annie Backer from Stellenbosch. For me, we were like second year, first or second year women, but young girls actually, and she was teaching us vibration, but she just came back from maternity leave after having twins.
Oh,
which
wow.
is this, she had an older child before that, but now she had twins, and she came back from maternity leave. And I've just admired how dynamic she is. She goes on the Cape of Palace on these massive trips and does a whole bunch of research on the ships, and she's just really inspirational both in the academic world but then also in her personal life. She also, she forms really deep friendships and does cool things. Go check her out. She's since become a prof. She wasn't a prof back when I was in Stellenbosch, and just realizing that you can do it. Yeah, you have to make sacrifices and have to choose what hard you want on your journey.
Yeah.
But yeah, so she's been a massive inspiration to me always. So shout out to Prof. Becker. I'm trying to think, and then also in Opti-Num, a story that I will never forget. Also coming, actually, I haven't even finished my degree. I still had one module that I had to write Dean's exam for, and I came to for my interview, and Kumo at the front desk. It's just, she says, this calming, commanding presence, and she, does what she needs to, greets you and asks you, do you want water, coffee, tea, whatever. Brought me some water, and she's of course, she can see I'm super nervous, so she was just telling me, you've got this, and really just rooting for me every time I came back, like, how's it going, what's happened since, and really being invested in me as a person. And she since, I see her as a friend, and it's really just one of my highlights of coming into the office is catching up with Kumu like really quickly and sharing a little bits and pieces of our life. So I think having just having these pockets of people all over really make me who I am today. It's not anything I've done. So I think, that's some of the stories I have. Have your thoughts or any comments?
Yeah, Zimasa, I'd like to ask you to respond before I do, if you have anything to say.
So Eunice, I think like I said, we're all from different walks of life, right? And the challenges are very different.
Yeah.
Because what I could be viewing as a challenge, you could have been used to from growing up. And I think it's important at my space where I'm at with my background to recognize that just because you have a different upbringing from me and you've had different experiences, it's important that I acknowledge that you are still a woman and you will still have your own struggles. And it's again about taking myself down there and recognizing and trying to dig in to say, what are your struggles? What are the things that you are struggling with? Because I could look at you and think, oh, she's confident, she's good at what she does, she's got this covered. But just like we were speaking earlier before we started recording, you are a new mother. What are the things that are going to make your life easy? Have I put myself down there to understand, now that you are in this stage of your life, how do I make your life easier? So again, like I was saying, let me know how to make your life easy, because it's a transition and it's not going to be like at a click of the finger. It's going to take a while, and you need women to support you, and you need women at different levels, because there's people at different levels of influence. I sit at Exco. I could be saying, oh no, let's think about Eunice when we set up that meeting, because she can't be in the office at 8 o'clock. Do you understand? So for me, it's just knowing that there's somebody that's rooting for you there, or that's a voice when you cannot be in that space. And that's what being there for each other means for me.
If I had to sum a lot up, it's very difficult to do, but I think the three biggest things that have come across from my research, when I've been speaking to women in prep for the podcast, and just hearing you guys speak today, I think the biggest thing for me is there's probably a woman in your life, if not more than one, that has somehow deeply invested into who you are and what you're going through. And with that kind of investment and relationship that you're forming with that person comes the advocacy in the rooms that you're not present, with the people that you might not speak to or speak to differently. And when you get that kind of investment from a female in your life, a woman in your life, and that advocacy that comes with it, you open up a world of representation. Someone that you're looking up to yourself. And without knowing it, as you step through your journey, there's someone who's now looking up to you because we carry that representation where we go. And I think the bottom line is what women have to say, because we all have something to say, is really important. And it's worth telling people about what we think and believe about, because that resonates with others. And it brings that advocacy through. It brings that investment into your life, and it brings that representation out so that you can see it and it's tangible. You can work towards it. And it can be something in your personal life. You know, there's so many podcasts that speak about women in business and women in tech, and they're extremely important, and we continue to listen to them. But sometimes there's also a podcast episode about women's stories and their voices and a platform for being heard. So thank you for being the woman in our lives today and for sharing these experiences with us. Really appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you so much for joining our episode today. Catch us wherever you get your podcasts, and we'll see you next time. Thanks.